that.
Yes, sure.
This is a sound check. This is David Matlock from the Southwest Virginia Higher Education Center. Let me see, Donna Stanley, can you hear me? Hannah Ingram. Hannah, can you hear me?
I sure can.
Okay, Hannah can hear me. So I'm going to assume we do one more. Keith Perigin, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I hope you're doing well.
We are. Okay, so we think we're going to go that we got a connection for everybody, Mr. Chairman. So I'll turn things over to our chairman at this time.
Welcome everyone to the Southwest Virginia Higher Education Center Board of Trustees meeting. This board is being conducted, this board meeting is being conducted in accordance with section 2.2-3708.2 of the Code of Virginia and item 4-0.01 of chapter 1283 of the 2020 Acts of Assembly. As acting chairman in consultation with the executive director, I determined that it would be both impractical and unsafe to assemble a quorum in a single location for this meeting. The purpose of the meeting is to discuss or transact the business statutorily required or necessary to continue operations of the public body and the discharge of its lawful purposes, duties, and responsibilities. As vice chair, I'm serving as acting chair due to the current vacancy in the office of the board chairman due to the incumbent's appointment to the board lapsing. The chairman vacancy will be filled later today when we take up the election of officers under item 6 on the agenda. I'd like to ask all members to keep their lines muted unless you're speaking. I now call upon Steve On, our secretary, to do a roll call of the members participating.
Chairman, is my audio okay?
Sounds great.
Okay. Cheryl Carrico.
Present.
Maria Colobro.
Present.
Joshua Eli.
Present.
Hannah Ingram.
Present.
Superintendent Keith Perigin.
Present.
Sandy Ratliff.
Present.
President Brian Hemphill.
On the road.
He was traveling, so I think he'll join us soon. Chancellor Donna Henry.
Present.
President Hemphill, was that you?
Yes, it's me. Thank you.
Thank you. President Adam Hutchinson.
Present.
Bill Knuckles.
I saw him all ago.
Bill Knuckles. Joseph Crook.
Present.
Jen Myers. Susan Parrish. Susan Short.
I'm here, I'm present.
Was that Susan Short?
Yes, that's Susan Short.
Thank you. Mike Puglisi.
Present.
Senator Ben Chafin. Delegate Chris Hurst. Delegate Mark Keem.
Present.
Delegate Terry Kilgore.
Present.
Delegate Sam Rasool. Steve On is present. Senator Todd Pillion.
I'm here.
Donna Stanley.
Can they see this?
Delegate Joe Johnson. And President David Olive. Is there a need to go, is there anyone that was not called in roll?
Hi, Jennifer Myers on behalf of Alex Hernandez.
Thank you very much.
And this is David Olive. Just found the mute button, so I am here with you.
Thank you very much. Are there any others
This is Bill Knuckles on behalf of John Broderick from Old Dominion University.
Thank you, sir. And finally, any more for roll call? Okay, Mr. Chairman.
Well, thank you, Steve. Sounds like we have a full house. We definitely have a quorum, and I appreciate you calling the roll. Welcome everyone that's here. The next item of business is the minutes. And again, due to the COVID-19 state of emergency, the executive committee met in lieu of a full board meeting on June 11th, 2020 to address the necessary business matters of the center that would have ordinarily been taken up at the June 2020 meeting. The board's bylaws gives the executive committee power to act in most cases for the full board. As part of the executive committee meeting, the minutes from the December 2019 meeting, as well as an amendment requested by board member Maria Calabra to the June 13th, 2019 minutes were approved at the June 11th, 2020 executive committee meeting. Ms. Calabra wished to amend the June 2019 minutes to reflect she did in fact attend the meeting by phone. The approved minutes are included in your packet for reference only. No action to approve the minutes is required today since the executive committee has already taken place. The next item of business is on your agenda is just to acknowledge the outgoing board members that have been committed to the Higher Ed Center for a number of years. Our former chairman, Delegate O'Quinn, Delegate Will Moorfield, Dr. Ron Profit, and President White from VHCC. We certainly appreciate all the hard work that you've given here to the Southwest Virginia Higher Education Center, and you've made it better with your service. The next item, number 4, is to welcome some new board members who we're certainly excited about having on board. I know Delegate Keem, one of my good friends in the House of Delegates, is on the line today. And I'd like to welcome him as well as Delegates Hurst and Rasul. Also, we have a new appointment from the Virginia Community College System. That's Donna Stanley, as well as Emory and Henry's President Wells and VHCC President Hutchinson. Welcome. We look forward to working with you and moving the Virginia Higher Education Center into the future. The next item the next order of business is to hear a report from the Nominating Committee. Ordinarily, the board officers would have been elected at the June 2020 board meeting, as it was the last meeting of the fiscal year. But since COVID-19, the executive committee does have the power to make those appointments. And this item was carried over to this meeting, and currently serving officers continue to serve as their original appointments permitted. The board needs to elect officers for the 2020 through 2022 term today, and we're going to hear a report from the Nominating Committee now. So I would like to call upon President Hemphill from Radford University for a report from the Nominating Committee. President Hemphill.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay. The Nominating Committee, which consists of Senator Ben Chasen, Keith Perigin, as well as myself, respectfully submit the following nominees for the board officers. For Chairman, Senator Todd Pillion. For Vice Chairman, Keith Perigin. And for Secretary, Steve Ahn. Mr. Chairman, I move adoption of this report.
Thank you. So we have heard the report of the Nominating Committee. Are there any further nominations, or is there a motion, or I guess a second, to elect the slate of officers as presented by the Nominations Committee to the positions reported from the Nominations Committee?
I'll second the motion.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, like sign. All right, so the motion carries. Congratulations on all the newly elected officers. I certainly look forward to working with each of you as well as the board. I feel like we have a great asset, a gem in Southwest Virginia, and I certainly look forward to working with all you all. And as I stated, these officers will serve the 2020 through the 2022 term of the board. The next thing I'd like to hear is the next item of business is number 7, update from the Secretary of Education's office. And we are so very fortunate today to have the Deputy Secretary of Education, who I feel like is a true friend of Southwest Virginia. I certainly have enjoyed working with her in Richmond, as well as the rest of the Commonwealth. She's a wealth of knowledge and a dear friend. I'd like to call on Fran Bradford at this moment. Fran?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, everybody. First, I do want to say thanks to your chairman, Senator Pillion, and David, for letting me join you all for a bit this evening. I bring greetings and thanks from the Secretary to each of you for your service on the board and to the Commonwealth. While I know this is a volunteer board, I also know well that you each give more than a little bit of your valuable time to this cause. And there is a reason that each of you are on this board, and you all bring valuable experience, whether it's from the legislature, the business community, education side, or otherwise. I've had the pleasure of working with a number of the legislators on this call, and in particular with your chairman, Senator Pillion, for a number of years. He is and always has been a supporter of Virginia higher education, both public and private. And we are lucky to continue to have his experience in the Virginia Senate and his leadership on the board. I know he will run a tight but effective ship, and you guys are in good hands. I don't have enough time to say everything I'd like to about David. So we'll simply say that his energy, as you all know from working with him, is infectious. His love of his job is a joy to see. And whenever we talk to him and I ask him how things are going, and you guys can say it with me because I'm sure you've heard it as well, he always says, "It's a great day in the Commonwealth." And I love that response, and I love that we get it every time that we talk to him. He's been an invaluable resource to our office and to me personally since I've been in this role. And he was even gracious enough to host one of the secretary's earliest visits when we did a tour a couple of years ago. So Virginia is really lucky to have all of you on the board and on the staff. I'd also actually like to take a quick but important minute to recognize and say thanks to the staff of the Higher Ed Center. I know this has been an incredibly difficult time for many folks on the staff, both personally and professionally. But I just want to make sure that you all know that your board and the folks in Richmond really value your effort and commitment these last several months. None of the amazing work at the center would happen without you. So just please know how grateful we are for all that you've been doing. As David knows, I'm a huge fan and a huge believer of the Virginia's higher ed centers. All of them, including you all, are very creative, engaged in your communities, working to bring businesses nearby and train the workers that they need. And higher ed centers are nimble. I know we have a couple of college presidents on the phone, so I apologize for saying this, but sometimes the higher education is not as nimble as it could be, but higher education centers are really beacons of light in that regard. And especially these days, this nimbleness is really important as we look to try to find ways to get workers back into jobs during this really challenging time. And I know that this higher ed center is doing amazing work on that front. I know this in part because I actually try to join the regular call of the higher ed centers. They have a regular call, and I love to be on that call. It's one of my favorite calls in this job I get to join because the creativity coming out of each of the higher ed centers is just remarkable. And they're bringing new educational partners to the table, creating and expanding new relationships with the private sector. And most importantly, they are connecting the two. One of the things I have learned in this job, and I'm sorry, and I know Delegate Keene will shake his head because he knows it took me a while to get there, but there is such an important nexus between Virginia being the best educated state in the nation, increasing the number of Virginians with post-secondary degrees, and Virginia maintaining its place as the best state for business. Those two things are intricately connected. And I would say that higher ed centers are really at the nexus of those two things, right? And so we could not be more proud of the work you're doing, especially during these crazy times. And so I just wanted to be on to say thank you to the staff, thank you to David, thank you to all of you serving on the boards. And I look forward to hearing a little bit more about some of the work that you all are doing. So, Mr. Chairman, thank you again for letting me join you this evening.
Well, we certainly appreciate your presence and your words, Fran. As I said before, you're always a pleasure to work with in Richmond, and I'll be in Richmond anyway. Some of the House members will not be, but I look forward to hopefully seeing you while I'm in Richmond. And thank you again for your service.
Absolutely, thank you.
The next item is the report from Virginia Tech, and I think Penny is on the line to give us that update. Penny, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, we'd love to hear from you.
Mr. Chairman, board members, and others in attendance. Thank you, Mr. Matlock, for the opportunity to share our partnership, which has been most successful in serving K-12 educators across all of Southwest Virginia. One of Virginia Tech Southwest Center's main goals is to provide professional development opportunities for educators in the 17 school divisions that we serve, which includes all of Region 7. While speaking with superintendents and teachers in August and early September, I learned about the challenges, the stress, the frustrations among our educators. The pandemic had totally disrupted the normal teaching and learning day in our schools. How could I help my friends across the region adapt to this new life in the classroom? I took the information that they shared with me and developed a survey, which I sent out to all the school divisions to get feedback on what their most critical needs were. And while I was collecting the feedback from the survey, Mr. Matlock called and asked if I could meet with him. He had been contacted by several superintendents who needed the professional development, but their teachers nor the school divisions could pay for the speakers. So during our meeting, Mr. Matlock and I formed a partnership between the Higher Education Center and the Virginia Tech Southwest Center. In this partnership, the Higher Education Center provided funding and IT support, and Virginia Tech supplied faculty from the main campus to deliver the programs. Meanwhile, I learned that a grant proposal that I had submitted to the Virginia Department of Education during the summer had just been funded. This funding was for STEM education in Southwest Virginia. And so I was able to combine the funding from the Higher Education Center and the Department of Education, keeping them separate, of course, but using those funds to fund programs. The first program that we started was reading. It seems that K-3 reading was the most important need at that time, and beginning learners in kindergarten and first grade, it's very difficult for teachers to teach reading to that age group. They have never read before. Their parents are not teachers. They're not prepared to teach them at home. And so I contacted Dr. Heidi Messmer at Virginia Tech, who is a professor in the reading specialist program. And she immediately agreed to deliver 4 weekly sessions for teachers. We had 125 K-3 teachers sign up for this program and attend the sessions. It was awesome for those teachers. And then we just determined that we needed someone to work with parents. So Rachel Kill from Virginia Tech delivered 4 weeks of programs for parents. We had 45 parents enrolled in that program. So our next program, we moved on to grades 4 through 7 reading. And we did 4 weeks with teachers and with parents in that program as well. The kickoff of the program was a huge success with the 2 reading programs, but we didn't stop there. Teachers needed help with technology. Many of them had never used Zoom. They had never used Google Classroom, Chrome, or any of the other programs that they were introduced to and forced to use immediately. Some teachers chose to retire. rather than deal with it, but others enrolled in classes and in programs to learn more about it. So we provided 3 different sessions on using the technology that they were having to be forced to use in their classrooms. Not only were the teachers teaching students in their classroom, but many were also teaching virtually at the same time. So if you can only imagine what that was like to try to balance working with the kids in the classroom and teaching virtually, it was really hard and very stressful. One of the things that we learned was when a teacher was demonstrating something, if she held up a letter for beginning readers, for instance, it might be backwards if on technology. And so they had to learn how to actually hold a letter or hold a demonstration or a paper of any kind so that the children could read it correctly. In addition to the reading and technology programs, we hosted programs for special needs children and their parents, physical education teachers, science labs, how to stay connected with your students, and safety strategies for coaches and physical education teachers. We will provide sessions in school law related to schools dealing with the COVID climate in 2021. And we're hopeful that none of our school divisions will have to deal with this during the current school year. We will also provide sessions for math teachers and parents of math students. We also learned just recently with the end of the grading period that many students' grades are very low. It's shocking to teachers of students who have always been A students who are now C and D students because they aren't completing their work. They aren't staying online for their classes. And so we're right now looking into what we can do to correct that situation. If you would like, I encourage you to look at the different university reports so that you can see on my report all of the programs that we've offered thus far. In addition to 7 faculty from Virginia Tech who have presented from the School of Education and from Mechanical Engineering and Technology, we also reached out to a faculty member at the University of Pikeville and the University of Virginia's College at Hvac. We also learned that sometimes it's better to use local teachers who can relate to what other teachers are suffering through. And so we had several teachers, Elizabeth Delp, Laura Nunley, Rachel Van Dyke from Washington County, Jane Carter, and Amy Compton from Wise County. They did a great job working with their fellow teachers, and Jane Carter has established a site for science teachers where they can all submit their successes and their failures, seek help in areas that are needed. So I think that's going to be a really successful program that Jane's leading. Thus far, we've had 400 plus teachers participate in the live virtual workshops from all school divisions in Region 7. We also had teachers from Montgomery County, and we had teachers from 5 private schools in the region. Each session, each program was recorded and is available to teachers on the Virginia Tech, Southwest Center, and the Higher Education Center website. Those teachers who were unable to participate when the sessions were taking place are able to go to this website and participate in the program on their own, and the supplemental materials that presenters provided are there as well. We will have additional follow-up sessions for reading teachers and the math teachers and others that are identified as needs in the coming months. I would like to thank Mr. Matlock and the Higher Education Center for the financial support and the IT support. Without Nikki Raleigh helping us with the IT, these programs could not have been delivered. I would like to invite my supervisor, Dr. Susan Short, to add any comments that she would like to add at this time.
Penny, thank you very much, and thank you for that report. I think all of us can spend time lamenting 2020. And after the first 3 weeks of the pandemic, we decided we're probably going to be in this for a while. And you can see how great innovation and creativity has emerged from all walks of the Commonwealth. And I have to tell you, if there's a big wicked problem out there in the Commonwealth, I would suggest you deploy Penny McCallum and David Matlock. Between the two of them, they can come up with creative solutions that truly make a difference in communities throughout the Commonwealth. Penny, thank you for your ongoing leadership on behalf of Virginia Tech. I think all of you know that the work that we do with our community partners as well as our K through 12 partners is critical and essential to Virginia Tech's land grant mission of serving communities and contributing to the betterment of the human condition. So Penny, I just thank you and David for the partnership that you have formed and the different ways that you have been have created to meet really critical demands and needs of the region.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Susan, for those words, and certainly thank you, Penny, for your hard work with K-12 education in Southwest Virginia, and it sounds like all over Southwest Virginia. We certainly appreciate your hard work down here. I know it's been a difficult time, but it sounds like you've adapted quite well, and we look forward to all the work that you have in the future with our teachers here. The next items are 9, 10, 11, and 12, and I'm going to group those together and turn it over to our Executive Director, David Matlock, and let him guide us through those 4 different items. So at this point, I'll turn it over to David.
Well, thank you, Senator Pillion, and again, welcome. As I always get to say, the Southwest Virginia Higher Education Center is a great place doing great things because of great people. And Virginia Tech is just one example. And thank you, Penny, and thank you, Susan. That was some great work that took place this last fall. In your packets, well, let me just back up. Before I go any further, to be a great place, doing great things because of great people, it takes a lot of great support. And earlier we talked about, you heard compliments from the Secretary of Education. I was from Fran about the staff, and we do have a wonderful staff here. We got a great team doing great things. But we also have a new person that joined us early on after the pandemic got started, and that's our legal counsel from the AG's office. And before I go any further, I'd like to introduce you to our new legal, I'm not sure exactly what to call her, other than a great friend, a very smart person. Our legal counsel, she's much more than that, I've learned quickly. So I'm going to say, Ramona Taylor, would you like to introduce yourself for a few minutes?
Yes, I'll be quick because it's people might get hungry because lawyers can talk a long time. I'm Ramona Taylor. I'm your new counsel. I've been your counsel since July 1. And I have to tell you, I feel like I have a promotion because I have been assigned to the center. I've been with the Attorney General's office since 2015. Originally, I was counsel for Virginia State. And I was thrown into higher ed, and I thought they put me in the middle of an active volcano. But I've learned this is one of the best areas of law to be in. And we've had some fun at the center, and I think David and Adam and the staff there have learned that I often come with jokes and sometimes a growl for anyone who messes with the center. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm here. I try to be prompt, and I might even open with, "Hey, how you doing?" or I'm in the middle of making a pie. What's up? But I try to give learned advice.
Well, I can tell you, Mr. Chairman, it's been wonderful working with Ramona and the enthusiasm she brings to her portion of the team. So thank you, Ramona. And I'm sure if anybody has any questions, they'll be reaching out to you.
Well, thank you. And David, I told David when we first met that because of my parents' 23andMe results were all related. And so I extend that to the board. Because of my parents' results, I think we're all family. So please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or concerns.
Thank you. I'll continue with my report. I've got a couple bullet points there for you, and I'll try to go fairly quick. I always like to point out the great work of our college and university partners, and many of them provided information in this board packet. Radford University is doing outstanding work with, they just completed the first year of their new counseling education cohort for educators. We're getting ready to launch a new master's in strategic communication. They're doing lots of things with our manufacturers, VCU and the doctoral program in anesthesia, the baccalaureate degree in clinical lab science. Those things are just going well. Of course, UVA WISE is always doing great things. And in their report, you're going to see that they served about 288 different people this past semester. A lot of great professional development. The King University nurse practitioner program is just exploding. It's been doing extremely well as the social work aspects of the social work program and the RN program. Of course, you heard from Virginia Tech and all the things they're doing to make sure that our K-12 partners are getting what they need. I would just say this to all the college presidents and designees representing the 10 colleges and universities that are doing business with us here at the Southwest Virginia Higher Education Center. You should be very proud of your team members and the people here representing you. They do an outstanding job and they represent your college and your university extremely well. Also in your packet, you would have seen some information about conference services. Normally, there would be a lot of things for me to talk about, but COVID-19 has put the brakes on that. In a normal year, we would serve about 67,000 to 69,000 attendees at different events here for 350 to 400 different organizations, bringing in well over $275,000 in non-general revenue. But in your packet, you're going to see that we're just doing a fraction of that. In fact, after today's press conference, it's going to slow down a little bit more. We had a little uptick. We've been very safe here. But again, we're a very lean, efficient, and effective organization, and we're going to see through this storm. But Hannah Heidla and the whole conference services team, they do a wonderful job. So make sure you take a look at that. Under educational outreach activities, there were a couple reports I want you to make sure that you take time to read. You're going to see that we're doing a lot with our K-5 STEM Academy, our Code VA activities for students and then for teachers. We're working with United Way with a bunch of 7th graders throughout our region. At Virginia Middle School, we're part of a STEM activity program in the afternoon. Our 6th grade day that Kathy Heidla has provided leadership for years. Normally, we bring about 700 6th grade girls in here, and we had a great program planned for them this year. We contracted with Miss America. Well, she couldn't come. Well, we couldn't bring the students in, so we created a virtual program, and it's gone over really well. They actually learned all about cool things with dyeing masks, and a bunch of our business and industry partners jumped in. And then we had some great experiments provided to us by Miss America. So you can go to our website and see that, but we're doing a lot in all those activities despite COVID-19. As far as a financial update in your packet, and we'll go to the next screen I'll tell you what, before we go to the next screen, let me just go to the bottom bullet. We have created a very well put together and vetted infectious disease preparedness and response plan. You're going to be hearing a little bit more about that, but we have a COVID-19 transition team, and you'll hear more about that entire team. But Hannah Heidla and Nikki Riley and Sean Webb and Alicia Smelser put a lot of work in. You'll see more about that. You can actually view that plan on our website. If you go to our opening page at the top, there is a link for COVID-19 information. I would invite you to take a look at our infectious disease preparedness and response plan. It's outstanding. So let's go to the next slide and we'll run through these budget numbers real quick. And I can just tell you, this is in your packet, we are efficient and we are effective. We are, despite COVID-19, we finished fiscal year 2020 in outstanding shape. We didn't lose any money. Now, we didn't make as much as I would have liked to have made, But you can see here the budget that was approved for fiscal year 2021, and we are on target. We cut some more expenses. We reduced, obviously revenue is going to be reduced, so we reduced some projections. We are on track to balance the budget. A couple of things I'll point out to you. Under the breakdown of non-general revenue, the projection there, down toward the bottom bracket, after you see residential fees in those colleges, you'll see associate partner fees, you'll see room rentals and food and beverages and services. Our 5-year average is well over $250,000 there, and I think last year we did close to $280,000. I had budgeted $100,000 back in June, thinking that COVID would be gone by now. We're not going to hit $100,000. We're going to probably do more like $40,000, which is about $235,000 less than we normally would. But don't worry, we're in great shape. We can ride this storm out. We're still going to have a balanced budget this year. If you flip to the next page in the budget, you'll see that there's personnel services, and that's well within our 5-year average. We're going to come in a little bit below that. I see no reason why we would exceed that budget at all. And then the next page on the budget that's in your packet has to do with other than personnel services. And one of the big areas in there is maintenance reserve. We got a lot of projects going on. You're going to hear about those in a few minutes. But we're on target. In fact, we're going to come in under budget in all those areas. We even budgeted less money, but we're going to be able to meet the needs of our community and not exceed our budget. Now, we basically have a balanced budget, but I'm going to be spending some of our reserves to get ready for what's coming after COVID-19. We've got a lot of improvements going on. So our contingency fund, we had budgeted that we would end the year with a contingency fund of about $1.2 million. And for an agency our size, that's a really nice contingency fund. I think we're going to meet that, probably exceed that. And again, that's because of the great work of all our team members. So unless you have any questions about the higher education budget, let me just pause right there and say, does anyone have a question about the financial report to date? Well, if not, in your packet, let me say, first of all, Debbie Hensley, who is our, let me get her title right. I always seem to mess her title up. She's the Senior Director of Finance. She puts in a lot of work. She does an outstanding job, and she knows where every penny's at, so I appreciate her. Alicia Young is over in our foundation office, and in your packet, you're going to see some grant balances for our foundation. We have we're currently managing about $8 million in grants and there's about 5 of them. Most of those are with the Virginia Tobacco Commission. We have grant balances of about $4 million. Things are going well there. And in our June meeting, you'll get a full report from the chairman of the board from the foundation. And so that kind of about does it for me there. What I'd like to do is transition over to the next bullet items. You're going to be hearing a construction update from Jeff Webb, who's our operations officer, and he'll be followed by Nikki Riley, our IT manager. She's going to give you a quick update on COVID-19 team activities. And then finally, our HR administration report by Senior Director of Administration and Human Resources, Adam Talbert. So I'll turn things over to Jeff. Jeff, it's all yours.
Thank you, David. As David said, my name is Jeff Webb. I'm with the Higher Education Center. I wanted to give you an update on the new addition and the office renovation projects. And hopefully this will inform you, and especially the new board members who haven't had a chance to visit yet. So let me go ahead and move on. This is the construction entrance. Next, please. Just to give you an overview, the purpose of this addition project was to create much needed storage space for conference services, maintenance, and the housekeeping departments. And of course, secondary to that was to provide some additional office and classroom space. In total, about 6,000 square feet is added, including a new freight elevator space. And I'll be showing you some good pictures as we go along. We also, in that project, have added a canopy over the loading and unloading area of the Grand Hall. We've added a 300 kilowatt natural gas generator for additional emergency loads so that we can keep areas of the building operating, such as the Grand Hall. when the power goes out. We also added a new grease trap for the kitchen, a catering kitchen area. And as this was winding down, we opted to repave the entire area behind the building due to the excessive number of trenches that have been cut in it during this and past construction projects. This is a floor plan of the first floor. If you look, you can see the areas in red rectangles. Those are the affected construction areas. The top one being the generator, the new addition project below that, and the electrical room where extensive work was done to add switch gear necessary for the new generator. Next, please. And then, of course, the second floor. Next. And this picture is a little bit warped because I did a panoramic shot, but this is what it looks like. All that new section in the middle there, first and second floor. You can see we've got a little maintenance area down there with garage doors. Off to the left, you can see the new canopy. And in front of all that is the new Kohler generator. Next, please. Another shot from the west. A little bit better view of the canopy area. And those double doors coming out of the new addition are going to be very helpful because they can come straight across when they're loading and unloading tables out of the grand hall and chairs and staging and all of that heavy stuff like that. And they can move it straight into the grand hall for quicker and easier setups. Next. And here's a closer shot of the new generator. There will be guard railing installed over the next couple of days around that. And here's a nice view of the new pavement. I think actually tomorrow the striping will be done. We'll have some striping down past the generator and some over near the building and some no parking and unloading zone signs and things like that. This is an example of one of the storage rooms. There's two this size. They're about 750 square feet each. And it's much needed storage area. To give you a little background, when we first built the building, there was really no storage that was allotted for in the building. So we had to basically fill every nook and cranny with chairs and tables and staging and all the other things that you need for daily operation. Next. This is the maintenance area on the first floor that was added with some garage doors. We'll be able to, work on lawnmowers and different things like that and have a workbench area as well, as along with some storage. Another nice feature that was added was a new freight elevator, which will be in operation within the next couple of weeks. On the second floor, as we started the project, the decision was made to better facilitate the testing center that we operate here at the Higher Education Center. So we added, I'm standing when I took this picture in the office where the testing center check-in is at, and they'll have glass windows so they can observe the testing that's going on at all times, as most of the testing companies require constant visual of the students taking tests. Next. This is an example of one of the upstairs rooms that will be used for offices. Next. And this is one of the storage, there's two storage areas upstairs for maintenance and housekeeping to store all things like filters and vacuum cleaners and all that kind of stuff like that. Next. This is a view showing the nice lighting. One of the nice features of the upstairs is it has really nice big windows with lots of light. You can see that the ceilings tiles are still not installed. As of today, the inspections necessary were completed, so those ceiling tiles will be installed over the next couple of days. Next. And then as an add-on project that we took on to fill all of our time during this COVID time, we decided to do some renovation in the back end where the admin offices currently are. And the admin offices will extend on back into what used to be a kitchen area. And there will be 4 new offices added there. And then off to the left of that will be maker space, STEM space, or whatever it will eventually be called. Next. And this is what it currently looks like. It's kind of a mess. There was a lot of demolition that had to take place here because there were several range hoods, exhausts, and all that kind of stuff like that. And so all the electrical, HVAC, the walls and everything have to be replaced or relocated. And the addition project is scheduled to be completed by the end of this month. And we should be able to take occupancy of that. And I expect this probably won't go on much longer than that, maybe another month after that, and this will all be completed as well. So you might ask, what's next? Well, we have several different things that we're occupying our time with. Over the past month or so, we have started installing a new simplex fire alarm system throughout the entire building. Our old one was becoming end of life and really difficult to find parts for. So we decided to take the step to replace it all. And next was an HVAC project where there's 70 plus HVAC units in the ceilings that will be replaced. And in some areas, rezoning, they'll be redoing the ductwork and rezoning some areas as well. And this is in addition to about 22 to 25 units that we have already replaced before we received funding for this project. So this project is currently has begun and is expected to be completed by the end of April. And then hand in hand with that project, we're having there's a project to replace all the exterior glass, or as the engineers call it, the glazing, and to make it more efficient. And we have new furniture scheduled to start appearing here probably a little bit later this month for the new addition and office renovation areas. And then following that, carpet replacement on the entire second floor and tile replacement in the back hallway on the first floor. So if you have any questions, please feel free. And if you're down in the area and you'd like to have a tour, please stop by. Thank you.
Hey, Dave?
Yes.
Question. Is the new testing center, will that allow folks that are needing, like for DPOR, their requirements like a contractor, their professional license, will you be able to serve some of those folks?
Sandy, it's a little bit out of my wheelhouse. I'll say we'll serve everybody that we're allowed to serve. We serve about 50 to 60 different testing agencies right now. And we do everything from people getting their license after graduating pharmacy school, pre-law, all the educational certifications, insurance, about everything. So if there's something, I'll just say this, if there's something you think we need, let's meet offline and come stop by or give me a shout, and we'll work to get that, see if they'll allow us to do that.
Thank you.
Jeff, thank you for that presentation. I really enjoyed the photos, and I can't wait to visit Abingdon, hopefully sometime soon. David, I guess I'll pitch this question to you. What was the total cost of the addition and the renovation of that space in the back of the center?
I think the original contract was around 2.4 million. I think counting the generator and everything, when it's all said and done, it's probably going to be closer to 2.7, 2.8 million.
That's helpful. Thank you. It's very impressive and I can't wait to see it.
Thank you. I think, Nikki, you're up now.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to give a report on what the COVID-19 transition team has done. In a response to the announcement of Governor Ralph Northam's Forward Virginia phase approach to the reopening of our Commonwealth, the Southwest Virginia Higher Education Center established a COVID-19 transition team that is responsible for developing safe practices and procedures to ensure the safety and well-being of our guests and staff. The COVID-19 transition team consistently reviews recommendations and guidelines provided by the CDC, Virginia Department of Labor and Industry, Virginia Department of Health, and International Association of Conference Centers, as well as executive orders instated by the Governor Northam, and provides suggestions to ensure the center is in compliance with pertinent COVID-19 safety measures. The team seeks to ensure that the center is prepared to welcome guests back to our facility and has helped to implement procedures and install equipment to better protect the health of our community. And the next slide is going to be a video that was put together to kind of show you what we've done around the center, just some of the few things that we have.
Welcome to the Southwest Virginia Higher Education Center. I'm Hannah Heidela, the Center's Director of Meetings and Events. I'd like to give you a quick tour of the safety protocols that we've developed to protect our staff, partners, and guests during the COVID-19 pandemic. When you arrive at the center, you'll notice that we are directing all guests to use only our main entrance doors at this time. This helps with our sanitation efforts and allows us to better assist and direct our visitors. Let's head inside. Before we enter the building, we should make sure that our face covering is properly in place, fully covering the nose and mouth. If you forgot yours, don't worry. We have single-use masks available at our information desk. Every person who comes into our building has the opportunity to use one of our temperature monitoring kiosks. Step right up to the kiosk, and it will tell you if your temperature is normal. It'll also remind you to wear a mask if you don't already have one on. You'll notice pertinent signage displayed throughout our facility that reminds you to wear your face mask, keep 6 feet of distance, and wash your hands. Our digital monitors also rotate important information regarding COVID-19 safety and CDC guidelines. Almost everyone who visits the center stops by our information desk for assistance. In order to better protect our frontline staff, we've created a one-way traffic flow with this retractable roping and installed sneeze shields for closer proximity. You'll notice that social distancing floor signs have also been installed, reminding guests to maintain 6 feet of distance. Our team, like Bart and Linda, are here to help you. Restrooms are high traffic areas, and we wanted to make sure that ours are as safe as possible. We've worked to make ours totally touchless. We've installed Easy Flush motion sensor toilet adapters in all of our bathrooms. Our faucets and soap dispensers are touchless too. As you leave the restroom, you'll notice that we've installed foot pools near the bottom of the door so that you can exit hands-free. Have you tried out our new touchless water fountains?
Stick your hand underneath.
And bottle filling stations too. Eli Heidela is an event operations lead in our conference services department. Eli is demonstrating our Clorox Total 360 electrostatic sprayer system. This system is EPA approved to kill the COVID-19 virus and can sanitize 18,000 square feet per hour.
We use the 360 sprayer to sanitize our meeting areas before and after events.
Sherry Harris is an event operations lead in our conference services department. She is demonstrating our UV disinfecting lamp.
We place these UV lamps inside of a room and have the whole room sanitized within 15 minutes.
Nikki Raleigh is the center's IT manager. Nikki is demonstrating one of our V-Ray sanitizers. These sanitizers can quickly and easily clean objects with UVC light that kills 99.9% of bacteria.
We have V-Ray sanitizers available at our reception desk, in our testing center, and our conference services department. In case someone gets sick at the center, we also have body fluid spill kits. There are 2 kits in each case, and they are OSHA approved to disinfect body spills safely. It includes a gown, mask, gloves, and cleaning supplies. These are located in conference services and the housekeeping department. In Classroom 240 and TEA, we have installed social distancing table tents so people know where to safely sit so they are 6 feet apart.
Every employee at the Higher Education Center was provided with 3 reusable face masks and a face shield like the one Nikki is wearing. Our facility partners have been provided with a box of single-use masks, and all of our building residents have received disinfecting wipes or spray and disposable gloves to help clean their office areas. They were also provided with hand sanitizer.
Another section in the COVID-19 action plan is documentation that we created to use in response to the pandemic. Some of the documentation includes COVID-19 Sanitation Checklist, Daily Wellness Self-Check Form, COVID-19 Usage Acknowledgement Form, Positive COVID-19 Test Notification and Cleaning Checklist. COVID-19 Sanitation Checklist is used by our Conference Service and Housekeeping Department. This checklist is used to ensure sanitation for high-touch surface and high-traffic areas. Daily Wellness Self-Check Form. Center employees must complete this form prior to reporting to a center work location. This form is also shared with caterers and subcontractors who must report to a center work location. COVID-19 Usage Acknowledgement Form. Clients choosing to rent meeting space during the pandemic completes this form prior to holding an event at the center. Positive COVID-19 Test Notification and Cleaning Checklist. The center staff refers to this form in the event of a positive occurrence of COVID-19 in the facility.
Thanks for visiting us at the Southwest Virginia Higher Education Center. We look forward to serving you soon.
Is there any questions?
Great job, Nikki. Continue with my part. Well, I'm going to transition over to Adam Talbert now for HR and administration.
All right. Well, thank you, David. And a few things I handle, of course, are HR matters, continuity of operations, our memorandums of understanding with our higher ed partners, also legislative matters, and just a lot of general administration items that keeps the center doing great things with great people and being a great place as well. So on your agenda, as item number 12, I wanted to talk a little bit about part of my responsibilities as the center's FOIA officer, the Freedom of Information Act. In your packet, you have from the great folks in the education section at the Office of the Attorney General a number of facts about the Freedom of Information Act, which applies to documents and email as well as meetings. There are certain procedures that have to be taking place during meetings such as these. Our folks on the board and also members on the call, or if you're part of a state or local government, you're probably quite familiar with FOIA and its applicability, but this handy little guide will help you understand a little bit more about it. And since we have a number of new board members and we haven't spoke about FOIA in a little bit of time, I figured it would be good to provide a refresher on the FOIA process. Also, since we have new board members, there are certain laws that the body on which board members serve have to be notified, or the body has to notify the board member. So that would be the State and Local Government Conflicts of Interest Act, the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and the Virginia Public Records Act. So in your electronic packet, you have full PDF copies of those chapters from the Code of Virginia for your review. If you have questions or concerns about FOIA matters, you can refer those to me, or in any event, you can refer any kind of legal matters to Ramona Taylor, who you met earlier on the call, our Senior Assistant Attorney General, who's assigned to the center as counsel. Also, one other thing I'd like to talk about, we're nearing the end of the year, and I know everyone's looking forward to 2021, but as we end up the year, part of my responsibilities also is one of the center's Conflict of Interest Act reporting coordinators. So just a reminder that this is applicable to General Assembly members, designated state officers and employees of state agencies, and citizen members appointed to this board. You have to file your financial disclosure statements if you're a citizen member by February 1st. The same date would apply to statements of economic interest for those who are General Assembly members and designated state officers with their agency have to file. If you're employed by another state agency and you're employed by a state agency and you're a part of this board, you're likely to receive information from your agency's conflict coordinator at some point soon if you haven't already. The filing period covers all activity between January 1st and December 31st of 2020. And for some filers, if they fail to file, there is a financial penalty imposed. There's also a training requirement that training is required every 2 years. And according to the council, there's new training that has been activated that is customized for the filing status. That being whether you're a General Assembly member, a state officer employee that has to file, or a citizen member appointed to a state board such as this one. If you're a member of this board and you're required to file a financial disclosure statement occasioned by your service on this board, Kathy Heidela, who's the coordinator for board members, will be reaching out to you in the next 30 or so days to get you that information. I think that covers all I had to speak about in my report. I'd be happy to entertain any questions from board members about anything I've spoken about or anything that falls under my oversight with the center.
Any questions for Adam? Or David, or anyone who did any of the presentations today about the Higher Ed Center itself? Well, David and Jeff, Nikki, Adam, Hannah, I appreciate all the hard work that you put into today's report and all the hard work that you always put into the center and making it successful. As a board, as new members of the board, you'll soon discover that they run a tight ship here and it's all hands on deck all the time. And we certainly appreciate that.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Before you transition to item number 13, we've said a lot about a lot of people, but a lot of work goes into these meetings and just keeping this, as you used the word, a tight ship. Miss Kathy Howla, who's with us today, my administrative assistant, she does a wonderful job working with the board members as well as all the staff and team members here. So she does her best to make me look as good as I can look. So,
and that certainly can be a tough job sometimes.
Yes, yes, I agree.
So I certainly appreciate you being here as well today, Kathy, and all the hard work you do, especially making David look good. So the next item on our agenda is 13, and pursuant to Article 4, Section A of the board's bylaws, the chair appoints 2 members at large to the executive committee, and I hereby reappoint President Brian Hemphill of Radford University and Chancellor Donna Henry of UVA as the executive committee. An opportunity was provided to the public to submit written comments for the meeting to be received by 5 p.m. on Monday, December 7th. And as far as I know, and Kathy can confirm this, there were no public comments that were received. At this time, I'd like to make some closing remarks. I'd like to spend a few moments recognizing our executive director for his leadership during this trying and certainly uncertain time as we cope with the challenges and uncertainties of the coronavirus. I've heard from the staff at the center who are very appreciative of his steady leadership during this time and keeping his staff informed and important information and updates, and his concern for their safety and well-being. And that doesn't go unnoticed by them or by me. I've observed his diligent work recently, and I think your outstanding leadership efforts are clear from the reports and information we received here today from you and your center's leadership team. In addition, I'd like to extend appreciation to the entire center staff, like we just did. There's a lot more people that work here that certainly do a great job that we did not mention today, but their dedication to serving the public and their commitment to the success of the Southwest Virginia Higher Education Center as it fulfills its role in advancing educational opportunity is certainly great. And I look forward to working closely with the executive director and the center's team in my service as chairman of this board. I know, as well as everyone on this call, on this Zoom, this center is a true asset to Southwest Virginia. Now, in closing, I'd like to mention that earlier today, the executive committee met to begin work on an employment agreement with the executive director, David Matlock. If all goes well, the new employment agreement will be available for everyone to review in early January. And with that said, we may need to call a special board meeting in early January to approve this agreement. This will be a very short meeting via Zoom, and the only topic discussed during that meeting will be the employment agreement. I would remind the board that the next meeting that will be June 10th of 2021. That's the proposed date of the normal meeting. But again, we will most likely have a meeting in January just to discuss Mr. Matlock's employment agreement. With that being said, I would now entertain a motion to adjourn. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right. And do I have a second? I feel like I have a second. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 All right. Well, thank you all. Have a great day, a great evening, and stay healthy.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Mr.
Holiday, everyone.
Chairman.
Happy holidays. Happy
Merry
Hanukkah.
Christmas, everyone.
Happy holiday.
Bye.